Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very special episode of the Present Fathers Podcast. This is episode number 100. We have finally hit the triple-digit mark. Woo! With that, also, there's something a little different about this episode. The air smells better. There's a hope that's restored. And this is the first time we're recording under the new golden era of America. So just shout out to DJ T for making America great again. Things are awesome. We are very pumped about that. This is an exciting episode for us on a lot of levels. And, we started out with basically nothing. We're up to 45,000 subscribers as of this recording at 100 episodes. So we're pretty happy with that. Thank you all for the support. And for those of you who are maybe watching this and are not subscribed yet, please follow along, subscribe to this channel, share it with other dads out there. Our mission is to serve them first and foremost and share good, positive ideas to help men be better for their families. So if you support that mission, please slam that subscribe button, like this video, and share it to your friends. And with that, I am going to turn it over to my illustrious co-host, the distinguished Dustin Burnham, the professor even, actually. You became a professor last year, right? So I guess we got to call you Professor Burnham now. So we'll turn it over to you to take away our special 100th episode celebration, brother. Take it away.
Thank you. And, I would imagine most of our listeners are huge Kamala Harris fans. So just want to take a moment of silence and remind this is a safe space for all of our Harris friends. So very sorry about your loss. Good luck for the next 4 years. It's going to be interesting, right?
Your tears just polish my armor.
I can't wait for the handcuffs to come out for so many of those people.
Oh, man. Anyway, good times. So
good times.
We are doing for our 100th episode predictions for 2025, and then next year we're going to come back and look at our predictions, see who did the best, do awards, and then see who did the worst, make fun of them, and then go for there. And then we're going to do predictions for 2026. Exactly, yeah. Okay, so what is one freedom or right that you think will be significantly challenged or expanded this year in 2025? One freedom or right that will be significantly challenged or expanded. Go ahead. We're going to go Justin first. We'll go around the horn.
Oh, God, putting me on the spot.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Pass for a sec. I need to think on this.
Yeah, he's only dealing with, literally a house full of sick children and a pregnant wife.
Oh, God. Wife's trying not to go into labor.
Get it together, dude. Come on. How dare you be
I'm such a slouch, dude.
Pathetic.
That's right.
Pathetic. You just need to get that, tiger blood in you or something like that. You're built different, right? I'll go, I guess. So freedom that you think will be expanded. I think the freedom for states to choose more state-level things, especially with education, will probably be the biggest thing expanded. And the federal government's involvement in things like that are going to shrink massively. So I think education is probably where we'll see the biggest changes, both from a federal level shrinking and a state level increasing. That's my prediction. And if I stole yours, I don't care.
Brandon, mute goblin. 100 episodes and he's still a boomer.
It's okay. Guys, we progress, not perfection, right? 100 episodes, still a lot of kinks to work out, but we will get better every time.
So for me, I would say expanded would be data ownership rights, just because AI is exploding so much, as well as decentralization on platforms. And then I would say for challenge, AI surveillance is going to become a problem, in my opinion.
I like that. Very nice. So for me, I think it's going to relate to education, dovetailing a bit off of what George said. I think that funding is going to be routed very differently. I think there's some real opportunities for parents to take a more expansive role in their children's education. And I think the traditional Prussian system where we sit kids with no recess for 10 hours a day, they don't learn anything, is going to change dramatically this year. And I'm really excited to see it.
Yeah. I'd say in 2 weeks, my freedoms are going to be gone. Having a 3 under 3 is going to be, whoo! Buckle up, Buttercup, because it's going to be a wild ride. But in all seriousness, I would have to say losses, probably going to involve AI and quantum computing. Obviously, I have pretty big intel on both of those things. And I think, Brandon's hitting the nail on the head. There's going to be a lot of oversight, and there's going to be a lot of fear, especially with what quantum computing is going to be able to do. Freedoms, I think we're already seeing it with X. The media can't, run the narrative anymore.
Well, yeah, and they have that special program now for the press room, right, in the White House. Yeah, so
that's
pretty
with
incredible.
Doge putting everything online that they find, the information and corruption that's being hidden, no longer. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's become a lot harder to steal and be corrupt. It's an amazing potential here. So
Which
really exciting.
is hilarious that that's controversial. Oh, yeah, we should maybe know where all the dollars are going. How dare you? We didn't vote for that. We kind of did, actually. So anyway, sorry. Moving on.
Yeah, exciting stuff. So, I mean, Elon is not a cabinet member, but he's kind of a de facto member. So let's go with who is going to be the most impactful cabinet member in the Trump administration for 2025? Who's going to make the biggest difference?
I think we're already seeing it. He's not a cabinet member, but I think Elon is going to make the most change overall, just because he's already gotten information that nobody wanted him to get, and he's backed it up elsewhere, which is pretty incredible. I think him and Trump are playing 4D chess, and the rest of the world doesn't even know how to play checkers. And then I think the other is probably going to be RFK Jr. because, I mean, let's just be real. Our food is the most toxic in all the world. So
I'll go next. Hegseth. The military's going to be lethal again, baby. It's already happening. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to finally serve under an administration that focuses on combat effectiveness instead of other things. So, yeah.
I would say outside of RFK Jr., I would say Scott Bessent. Just because Secretary of Treasury is a really, really, really important thing. And we've had just a terrible past 8 years with...
You weren't a fan of Janet Yellen?
All I'm saying is that we're going to be in a much better position financially, in my opinion, based off of our new election. So,
Brandon, you nailed it. I think we were going off a fiscal cliff, and we now have a chance to actually keep the country solvent. So that's a huge deal. For me, though, personally, it's got to be Tulsi. She's incredible. I was so excited she got confirmed. We're going to find so much interesting stuff because of her. Her as head of intelligence is wild. So buckle up because it's going to be a really interesting year for sure. So I really think it's going to be Tulsi.
Okay. I don't know if this is on your list. I'm going to interrupt real quick. What do you guys think about them? You know, they say they're going to release the JFK stuff and the MLK assassination files.
I think that'll be a big deal, and here's why.
Do you think we're actually going to get the files, or is it going to be like the same thing where it's scribbled in black?
Hopefully it's
like
not redacted already by somebody who's gotten a hold of it.
We'll see, but I think a lot of it's relevant. I think a lot of those things are still happening. You know, it's not like that just is ancient history. I mean, there's still people alive today who are part of that, and I think we're going to learn some really interesting things from that. So, yeah, you nailed it, George. If we get the real story, it's buckle up. It's going to be interesting. And for a history nerd like me, I'm going to be excited regardless. Yeah. So it'll be cool.
I mean, that might be the most impactful thing that happens, depending on which version of the documents we get released. But that'll be wild. I mean, heads are literally going to roll over that.
100%. Exactly.
And
legacies will be changed too. You've got people who we think are a certain way, and then you'll go, "Wow, that's actually what happened." It'll be super interesting. Okay. Next one. Which country do you predict will have the most controversial election next year? Which country outside of America? Obviously, we had a controversial one for sure.
There's only one country in the world.
That's right. Well, and Canada's going to become part of America. Same with Greenland. So yeah, we're
just going to annex everyone, right? Canada is basically just northern Mexico, and Greenland will be the green states of America, and yeah.
There you go.
The Gulf of America now, so I'm kidding.
So, George, jump in. What's the big one? Is it Germany? Is it France? Is it Canada?
I think the Germany one is huge. I haven't been following it that closely, but I've seen some stuff here and there on X, and that one seems like there's like it seems like they're having potentially a similar shift to like what feels like just happened here in the U.S. And again, I'm not some like European politics scholar or anything, but just from what I've seen, and we follow a couple guys who are actually living in Germany, I think, on X, like Humble Flow and stuff, shout out. They seem to have very positive hopes for where this could go, and I don't know, that seems like a pretty big shift kind of in the EU, so I think that one could have a lot of dominoes off the back of it.
Yeah, so I would say, obviously, in October with Canada, getting rid of Justin Trudeau is just been a parasite to that country for so long, and I'm sure Jordan Peterson is dancing right now at the excitement of getting rid of him and putting somebody with half a brain in there.
Will Trudeau have to go to a re-education camp to learn how to be a man?
Yeah. Outside of that, well, gosh, I hope whoever's next would pardon Jordan Peterson for being somebody who actually has a brain. But I would say outside of that would be Hungary. They're poised to have a really good election as well.
Awesome. Brandon, you stole Canada from me. I think France is coming up soon with Macron. I think that's another big one. He has a 15% approval rating right now.
Well, he's one of the World Economic Forum young global leaders,
Yeah, so I think if...
children.
Yeah, I think Macron in France will be a really big one. If Germany and France decide to, have real economies again, they could actually start innovating again, because the direction Western Europe is going, they're in a lot of trouble right now. So I hope for their sake. So a couple of big global things there. As far as let's keep it a little more local now. So what is the one thing that will be different for dads like us in 2025 than it was in 2024? What do you think is going to change for us? A lot of times we go, oh, there's big political changes happening. What is it going to matter for us as dads, in Tennessee, in Florida, in Tupelo? What's going to change? George, go ahead.
My daughter won't have to compete against men. Full stop.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. I'm done.
It's a big one. Okay, that's a big change for sure. Brandon, what do you think?
Well, I'm hoping that when the education system is pushing everything down to the state level, that states will give the option of like homeschooling, getting that that $10,000 federal tax money instead of the public schools just being dumped to it. Same for like my son who goes to a private Christian school locally. I would like for that money to go towards his tuition. So that's what I'm really hoping as a dad, that will be a big impact and a change to our family this year. But we will see. We'll have to obviously speak with our representatives and try to make sure that they represent us properly when that does, and if it does happen.
I love it. Yeah, great ones. I'm going to go non-political here. I think that we're going to see something like Grok or ChatGPT for kids. That's great. There's obviously some problems. It has to be gate kept. But if my 5-year-old son can ask all these questions all the time whenever he wants, and for whatever reason we're busy, we're not able to, and he has someone he can chat with on an intelligent level, I think that's going to be a game changer. And then, a lot of kids maybe don't have as active of, parental models who just watch a lot of TV and don't necessarily have the energy or the desire to give their kids as much attention as maybe they need. And boom, I think these smart speakers, not screens, it's got to be just a speaker only, might be a game changer for a lot of kids this year. I hope we see that in the next 6 months or so. There's going to be a lot of very educated, very emotionally regulated kids potentially from that we wouldn't have otherwise.
There's a lot of really cool use cases to leveraging AI. Like my daughter and I use, image generation. We'll take something that she's drawn, upload it as like the reference architecture for a prompt, and then make it be like super crazy and stuff. And, that's just a simple use case, but it's fun to watch her imagination just have no bounds, right? She can, whatever she dreams up, we can make it happen, from generating the images and stuff. And so that's a lot of fun, but there will be a lot more practical uses for it too. And actually, I want to, on that point too, Dustin, about leveraging AI with your kids, shout out to one of the commenters on that question about, how do you deal with a picky eater? The guy basically, polled his children on their favorite foods and stuff and used, a GPT to basically spit out like a list of meals that would be, in their top 10 essentially. And like did it with the kids. And it was this like fun learning experience. And so that way, they were like bought into the meals they're going to be eating, and it's not just what the parents are telling the kids to eat. It was like, it's probably the best use I've ever seen of AI with your parents, like parents to kid. So yeah, I do kind of want to amend my answer to what you said, that I think AI's, use cases for dads is going to be pretty epic if you use it correctly.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And if you're ever not sure of something to do, oh, my kids are bored. What do I do today? It's raining. Ask ChatGPT. It's raining today. I have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. What do I do? It'll give you 25 answers. Pick your favorite one, and then you narrow it down. It's going to be amazing to be a parent, because we get so tired. We're exhausted. We're not always creative. It adds that little bit of spark of creativity we need to then go on the right path. So it's super exciting. So dovetailing on that, what's going to be different from a tech standpoint? What is the most impactful new tech company or tech concept for 2025 that you guys are really excited about? Brandon, go for it. Yeah,
I've got to go
eyes
first.
light up.
Yeah, man, Synthesis all the way. Synthesis AI, for those that don't know, it teaches your kids.
This episode is brought to you by Synthesis, by the way.
Yeah. But
You'll be seeing the ad slot soon.
Yeah. So Synthesis, for dads that don't know, it is an AI tutor that is based off of a DARPA program that was adapted for children, and it is absolutely brilliant. It makes your children love math, and they learn things that I never learned in school, that had I learned it in the logical ways that they do, it would have been incredible. And it also breaks away the social barrier of like, disappointment or shame or any of those things that they experience when they're being tutored by a human, right? The AI is always patient and always in the same tone and kind. And so it's just incredible. And I think that a lot of other digital platforms are going to expand education through AI in that way this year, and that's what I'm most excited about. But synthesis and building legends. So there's a new one that helps, especially like middle school to high school type children. It helps them build self-confidence, and it is just an incredible program. I'm very excited to start that with my child and let you guys know next year.
All right, George, what do you think?
Man, most impactful for dads, specifically for dads. I don't know. I don't know if I've done enough research to even give you a real answer here. I've been so honed in on my own business, I don't have time to really drill into what else is going on out there.
I'll jump in. I got a fun one.
Go for it. Yeah, help me out here.
I think all the drones and everything that we're going to have on the border is going to change the dynamic of what's happening there so drastically that we are going to start seeing opportunities for young kids again to do real work again, right? Because we've essentially outsourced every type of hard labor in this country to illegal immigrants. And so there won't be as many available, which means 15-year-old kids are going to have to start mowing lawns again. So I'm hugely bullish on that. I think it's awesome. I'm hearing all the time, oh, the economy's going to really struggle because we won't have this. And there will be some pain points for sure, because, it's a lot of 15-year-old kids that don't want to go outside and do this kind of stuff. But I think there's a real opportunity for them to grow a lot from that. So ironically, that's the second order effect of all these effective tools, is that we're going to see that.
In terms of specifically for dads, that's kind of where I'm struggling. All the tech stuff I can think of isn't necessarily dad centric, but I think there's going to be, I don't know if it'll happen in 2025, but I think we're very close to having some of these AI tools kind of make that like huge leap to where it's going to just fundamentally change some of the typical things in day-to-day life. So, I'm just trying to think of an example of where, like, if AI can handle the mundane, boring things for me, so I can spend more time doing the fun things with my daughter or the meaningful things with her, I think we're very, very, very close. And I don't know if we can pick an exact date of when it's going to happen. Maybe at the end of this year we'll get there. But, the whole DeepSeek thing, right? It like doubled its capability in like a day or whatever, and it has everyone freaking out. So it's possible this stuff could happen, kind of exponentially quick, but we'll see. It may be an aggressive prediction to say it happens in 2025, but I do think we're getting pretty close to some of these menial things we all have to just kind of do on a day-to-day basis might be kind of swept off the table because you have some AI bot that does it for you now. And if you're a good dad, you're going to take that time and buy it back to be with, the people that matter most to you, and as opposed to, watching more football. So we'll see where that goes. But
I agree. And I think people, go ahead.
I was just saying we might create more problems than we solve, but we'll see.
Well, I think people are going to have more kids. I think a big reason that people have kids is don't have more kids is not financial. It's the amount of labor and work that happens in those first couple of years of life. It is really tough. I have a 4-month-old right now, and it's exhausting. My wife and I will both say, I need more help. And if we have that help that we can provide, it's going to be a game changer. And people say, I don't have any reason not to have 5 kids now because I have the support for it.
Yeah, our American system of what's normal for bringing kids into the world is probably looked at as quite barbaric by most cultures on the planet, and historically I don't think we'll be looked at very positively in the way that we rear children in the 20th and 21st century in America. We'll see. We'll see how time remembers this, but it's kind of nuts that a mother will have a baby and they're like, okay, good luck, you're on your own now. And like basically no other culture on the planet does that. So, we'll see. Hopefully that has a positive impact, like you said, Dustin. We interrupt this episode to talk about Synthesis Tutor, the world's first superhuman math tutor. It is warm, patient, and understanding, and adapts to your child so you never have to worry about them falling behind when it comes to math. In episode 84, we spoke to Chrisman Frank, the CEO of Synthesis, and immediately afterwards, I purchased Synthesis Tutor for my daughter, and it has been an absolute game changer for us. Math used to be a very painful experience. It was frustrating, and there was lots of tears for my daughter when it came to learning math. It's something she's not naturally good at, and we struggled a lot. Now she happily uses Synthesis Tutor every single week, and there's no more frustrating nights. The way it works is that it leverages AI to adapt the experience to your child to not simply master memorization of math facts, but it actually teaches the principles and concepts so that your child can independently solve problems without needing tons of outside help. Because it tailors the experience to your child, it is always adapting and learning where the child is in terms of their development, and it keeps them in the proximal zone of learning so that your child is being challenged but not getting frustrated or defeated by the experience. I am very pleased with our experience on Synthesis Tutor. My daughter's grades have improved in math. It's something that I can now outsource. I don't have to take the time myself to sit there and try and memorize facts with her. She gets excited to do it, and it's fun and engaging for her to learn instead of this frustrating experience, and it doesn't feel like a chore any longer. So we at the Present Fathers Podcast highly endorse Synthesis Tutor. There is also a Teams function for those with multiple kids or maybe multiple families want to pool their children together. You can check that out on the website. You can get 10% off with your purchase by going to synthesis.com/PFP. That's synthesis.com/PFP. Go there, check it out, and start supercharging your child's learning experience with the power of AI. Back to the episode.
Totally agree. I think we're going to come back to communities and more tight knit families and all that. It's an exciting and a lot of this will be tech driven that it makes it possible. So I think you're right. Okay, shifting gears. Which stock or investment class do you think will do best next year? So it can either be an individual stock or it can be a whole class like commodities or Bitcoin or something like that. So Brandon, this is right up your alley. Maybe give us two since you're literally an expert in this. What are the two that you think are going to absolutely outperform and crush this year?
So before I state anything, I have to legally disclaim that this is a personal opinion and is not financial advice. This does not represent any company that I work for. With that being said, I would say the tech sector and the AI sector, mostly like U.S. large cap stocks, those kind of things, I feel like they're going to be top performers as usual. I would say underperformers would probably be things like the energy sector and real estate, especially depending on how new construction and the interest rates are. So those would be my guesses. I would say VOO specifically would be a really good buy. NVIDIA, it's very volatile right now, but I think if they continue to make the breakthroughs that they have been promising with their keynotes, they would be a good one to invest in as well.
Well,
All right,
big
George,
companies
what do you
never
like?
lie at their keynotes or investor speeches.
No,
right?
why would they? Exactly. That's crazy.
Disney
Sure,
said
but-
they were going to back away from political issues for 4 years in a row. So
Sure, but
here we are.
with NVIDIA,
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I know, but with NVIDIA specifically, they have a proven track record
yeah.
of their tech
I know.
advances. So they're really good.
Yep. Bitcoin, baby. We're going to 1 milli, baby. No, I don't know if that'll happen this year, but I mean, that jump was pretty nuts. I don't see that going away. I'm not like some Bitcoin, crypto maxi or whatever. Like I didn't have any NFTs or that nonsense, but you can't deny that just having an extra type of currency that does have a value as a hedge against any other country's currency is a valuable thing for people to invest in. So I didn't bet the farm on it or any of that kind of stuff, but I'm working to acquire little bits of it here and there as just basically an extra, diversification. So, but I think, it's still relatively early. I follow a lot of people who are pretty smart on this kind of stuff. And so even though, it hit the 100K mark and that's kind of a big deal, I think this is just the beginning. I actually think, people who buy in now and continue to buy in now, 10 years, 20 years from now, you're going to be very happy that you did. I'd be shocked if Bitcoin goes anywhere. I just think it's too big now to go anywhere.
Yeah, it's and it's the tech aspect of it. It's the fact that they solved the Byzantine generals problem. They solved the triple ledger technology. It's incredible when you get into it, and people don't think of it as a tech thing, but it really is. It's like inventing some entirely new thing. So I think you're right. That will continue to outperform.
I actually don't understand any of how it actually works. I just know that it's not going anywhere.
It's pretty fun. I'll explain some of it to you. And actually today they talked about putting the entire treasury on a blockchain ledger, so it's all so everyone can see what's happening, which is not impossible to do. That would be
Yeah.
super interesting.
Yeah.
So if that
I mean, I
happens,
do understand
that's-
blockchain, that kind of stuff, but like,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. Anything attached to Web 3.0 and, that is attached to the continued sharp incline of decentralization of every piece of technology is going to be a surefire winner for sure.
Yeah, agreed. So for me, it's got to be Tesla. I think this is the year that one, we see full self-drive, which is $1 trillion.
you think
so
bigger
it's not
than SpaceX?
Yeah, because SpaceX, their Starlink is huge, but the
I mean,
reason
the
so
chopsticks, baby.
it's incredible, yeah, for sure. But you can't
The
invest in
rockets,
that for
they
one.
got it. Oh, look at that. Trump said I
That
was
was
dying,
so
man.
funny.
I was laughing.
Yeah, if for some reason they spin off Starlink and make it public, I'll buy the farm. I think it's going to do fantastically. But for now, we can't buy it. Even if you're an accredited investor, it's still impossible to get. So love SpaceX, can't buy it. Tesla has two things going for it. One, full self-drive is $1 trillion market for a number of reasons. It's not just that it drives itself, it's that you don't need as much parking. You can cut parking in the country by 90% and turn it into parks or farms or whatever you want to do. New York City might be green, in 10 years because you just don't need all the parking lots. And two, you can rent your car out. You can buy your robotaxi and then it'll take you to work and then you can literally send it off and go, take 50 other
The
people.
utility
on
of
rides.
everything created would be significantly higher.
It's
Because your
nuts.
car is actually really low utility right now, right? Like,
Yeah.
what do you
Oh,
use it like 17% of the time or something, unless you're like a delivery driver?
Yeah.
It's really bad.
It's gonna change a lot. So that's a huge value creator. And then Tesla
It's also
Optimus.
like a real quick point on that one too. And I said this quite a while ago, like 2016. I was saying this, like it'll eventually be mandated, right? It'll become like federal law that you have to have a self-driving vehicle because statistically, it's going to get to the point where more lives will be saved if everyone has a self-driving car. And that's just so it's just going to happen. It's going to happen, right? How many laws do we pass because it's for the kids or whatever, right? Like for safety. So, like it or not, I honestly think we're maybe like 10 years away from that point. I think it'll happen pretty dang fast. Because, like you're saying, Dustin, you will be able to just rent them very cheaply. You won't necessarily have to be the owner of the self-driving car, right? It's the usability of it will be far more accessible than like right now. You got to be a rich person, right?
And it's so inevitable. Here's what's weird. In medicine, they're worried there's not going to be enough organs for people who need organs because most of the organs we get are from car crashes. And so if you need a kidney or a liver, you're not going to be able to get one because nobody's dying in car crashes anymore because it's become so safe. So that's kind of weird, right? So they're trying really hard to develop artificial livers, artificial kidneys. Hopefully we have that by the time we have full self-drive. But anyway, kind of weird second order effects, right?
Isn't that wild?
You got these surgeons that are like, yes, we got someone dead. We can go put the liver in, kind of thing. It's morbid, but that's what you need is, fresh meat, boys. But so on top of that,
play
Optimus.
a clip of the orcs. Meat's back on the menu, boys.
Yeah, exactly. So robotics will be the biggest product in history of all time, more than every other product. Like literally the value of robots will be more than everything else combined because they're going to do everything. They're going to replace manual labor. They're going to do so much in that regard that it's going to
Fight
change.
wars.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to change the nature of labor. And so
Skynet will launch, and then we'll
that's
be fighting
great. Yeah,
the
we're gonna love it.
robots, and,
yeah, for
dude.
sure. A lot of challenges there, and there's a lot of risk, but the reward is powerful. As such that you'll never have to send people into dangerous, terrible jobs again. It's and whether you like it or not, it's coming. Like we talked to our friend Farzad, right? The robots are coming. You don't have to like it. You can't stop it. It's one of those things. So we can debate the ethics of it all we want, but the value is nuts. And
Dude,
Tesla's the only one that can really
I'm
do
not
it
gonna
at
lie.
scale.
The thing I'm looking forward to most about having like little robot, minions is like not doing my laundry, not taking out the trash, not having to freaking vacuum, do the dishes. Like, come on. Who doesn't want to live in that house where it's like, oh, we'll just do it for you? I'm like, hey, R2D2, come here, clean this up.
And
100%. It's going to be amazing. Okay, so George,
I want it now.
you nailed it. Our next question, what new excuse will dads use for not doing household chores in 2025? George, hit me with it. What do you got?
I don't really know what this problem is because I just take care of stuff left and right. It's like the light bulb test. Like, do you have any light bulbs out in your house right now? Yes? No?
Not that I know of, but I probably do because I have hundreds of
How
light
long
bulbs.
does it take you to fix, like, all the men listening, this is a test for you. do you just fix the light bulb because you notice it's out and you're a man of action, or do you have to wait till your wife to nag you like a little boy and be like, "Can you fix that for me? You know, it's been there for weeks."
I
So,
plead the Fifth Amendment.
I
I'm
don't
taking the Fifth
really,
here.
I don't really. This question to me, it just sounds like a question for weak men, straight up. But no, what excuse will they use? I do the ones I have to do or need to do, and there's still going to be things I need to do. They're just going to be different. So I don't know what they'll be. You know, if the robots are doing all my house stuff, there will be something else that I got to fix the robot. So, you know, there it is. There will be another thing to do, right? But if you're making excuses about that, like, we got bigger issues. So, lame question. Next.
Eat the frog, gentlemen. Get it done. I like
Listen,
it. Brandon, what do you like?
I would say the robot dog ate my homework, and that's the only excuse I would use. Okay, but I really do want to go back to the AI point and the robotics. So one of the most important things that we want to look at is, especially with the taxi system, for example, you need to look at how Lyft and Uber are going to adapt to these changes, because if they don't, they're going to be annihilated, and it's all going to be privatized. Same thing with, like you were saying, the robots will replace people. So great example, bomb squads, search and rescue. Like you have thermal reading, image heat reading scans. Like all these things are capabilities. Like a robot in your house that can perform CPR or even defib you, and can have like a Bluetooth thing that detects your heart rate. And if you go into cardiac arrest.
Are you saying that I'm going to have Big Hero 6 at home?
Hey, listen, it's all within the realm of possibility, and mass scale robots will be cheap and affordable in homes in about 5 years. So the first 3 years it's going to be more expensive. So this year they're probably about, I'd say roughly anywhere from 10 to 15,000 robots built. Then next year probably about 75 to 100,000, and then it's just like once those factories are built, it's going to be mass
The robots
scale.
can build the robots, and the Terminators all come for us.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's a great example though. Dustin's seen this. There's like these small robots that perform CPR on patients while they're being carted everywhere. And so, you know, just small applications like that need to be concise and consistent every single time. Robots are going to destroy humans in accuracy with it. And so they're going to be such a huge benefit for us. And you're seeing a lot of AI driven robotic surgeries now. And it's going to be super interesting. Like, think about firefighters. You know, you've got a robot that can go in, has, you know, things attached to it that could release flame retardant, and can go rescue people. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, it's literally endless, and it's just a matter of getting them out and making sure that they're safe for the public.
I think maybe I'm just a lot more cynical or jaded or whatever you want to call it. But one, this is what we know about. So you know that the government has some stuff that's like 30 years ahead of this already. And the problem is the people who control all this stuff aren't the people who are just like all the use cases you did that were like, oh, it's about saving lives. No, you're like, oh, how can we kill people faster? How can I dominate a war with microbots and just kill the whole other army? I think we're on the precipice of some really bad stuff. I'm maybe pessimistic, but like I just watched Dustin. I sent it to you, right? You watched the whole one with Kurt Metzger and Joe Rogan. Like there's some dark stuff happening. Okay, yeah. There are some dark people, and if they have control over this kind of stuff, it's not going to end well for us. So you know, it's an existential crisis, but I don't worry about that. I live day to day on the things that I need to focus on, and you know, robots will kill us one day. It'll be fine. I've got my arsenal ready to take out Arnold Schwarzenegger's coming through the doors. You know.
So that's a good point. And so I'll go kind of philosophical with this. It's one of our chores as dads to not get hung up on stuff we can't control, right? So there's a million reasons to think that, you know, a lot of bad things are coming. And so what's the point, you know, kind of thing. Don't take that black pill. Stay focused on the present and love your kids, work your hardest, and get ready for it. Hopefully, exactly. Yep. What will hopefully be a beautiful future. And if it's not, did it hurt that you put the extra work in and tried? No.
It's cool, dude. They're, like, you know how we all dream secretly as men of like going down in a blaze of glory? Like how awesome would it be to be remembered by your kid as like, yeah, dad went down taking down the Terminators, you know? So it's not all that bad. There's silver linings, you know? So.
Well, 100%. I will be John Connor.
So there's contingency plans for that, right? EMP being one of the major things. And so if we have to, we would hit the reset button, right? It would come at great cost, but there are ways to prevent that.
That's
So
what the World Economic Forum has been trying to do to us for years, though. So.
well, thankfully, as pessimistic as some of these thoughts are, there are optimistic people that are sentinels that are standing guard between the bad, right? And so you've got people creating technology that's going to counter a lot of that stuff. Like you have good AI and you have bad AI, and so I think there'll be a lot of. I'm really hoping to see that we improve our EMP technology, where to the point like you have EMP guns that can literally shoot a cell phone and isolate the damage just to that cell phone, right? If we can, I don't know the science behind it, so
I've seen footage actually of like Chinese soldiers taking out drones. Like they have like a targeted thing that kind of shoots it. And
so that's just all we got to do. We just have to make sure that we have people balancing that scale, right? We don't want the scale to tip either way, but either way, that's what.
The last like terrifying thing, the future of warfare is absolutely horrific. Like Warhammer 40K is probably not that far from being like fantasy anymore. Like drones, you're seeing it in Ukraine and everything, taking a dumb drone and putting munitions on it and stuff and just having like 300 of them fly at you. Now imagine when you have like AI controlling it to make it more, that stuff's terrifying. So I hope you're right, Brandon, that there's enough smart good people to outdo the smart bad people from ruining the future, but we'll see. Let us know in the comments. Are the Terminators coming, or is it going to be positive? Like, we'd love to hear your answers on that one. George the pessimist and Brandon the optimist. Who's right? Well, I guess we'll see at the end of 25, right? Are we still clinging to the last scrap of humanity against the robots, or is it going to make life wonderful? We'll see.
Yeah, or somewhere in the middle. It'll be interesting for sure. Okay, so last prediction for this year. What is RFK going to ban in 2025? What is he taking out?
I got this.
Standard American diet.
Listen, first thing is dyes. The like red, blue, yellow, all those have to go. All these companies are already doing this for other countries, just not ours, because it's cheaper for them to do it here.
Well,
and
no,
then right after
have laws to say you can't.
Right. And then I think right after dyes and stuff, he's going to go after additives that cause like metabolic dysfunction and cardiac dysfunction and all these different things. Yep. After that, I think he might even go after the pharmaceutical. Fingers crossed, but we'll see.
Put Fauci on trial.
Yeah, he's pardoned. We'll see what they can get him
you're only pardoned for evidence that already existed. So if there's any new discoveries, your pardon is worthless. Oh, yeah.
Now that would be an interesting wrinkle.
If new information is brought to light, doesn't matter. That's my understanding of it. I've talked to some legal experts. That's kind of the thing. The other person I want to see really get held accountable is Milley. So the fun fact about a presidential pardon, it does not spare you from UCMJ. So I would love to see the Uniform Code of Military Justice and a court martial. So I would love to see that guy get held accountable for all of his things, the fall of Afghanistan, the COVID mandates for the entire military, which they're reversing and supposedly going to reinstate people. So yeah, it'd be great to see some accountability for people who volunteered to push bad policies. And yeah, go RFK, man. Get all, I'm tired of microplastics in my balls, like let's get rid of all the stuff killing us. It'd be great if our food was food. Crazy, right?
Brilliant idea right here. Yuka has a database filled with all of this stuff. He could literally just use that database to start targeting. Like he could just start going after so many companies.
People would willingly crowdsource this because literally everyone I talk to is like so tired of having like to read labels because of the stuff that's poisoning their children. Like I basically don't know anyone who's just like, oh yeah, I give them all the dyes. Like literally everyone is going and buying the stuff that doesn't have it because they're so sick of. I mean, like it's not like the government has to like solve some huge equation. I feel like pretty much every American would be like, yeah, it's this, ban it. You know what I mean? So anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting year.
I hope they clean house.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of opportunity there. So we interviewed Callie Means a couple of years ago, and he is intimately connected. He's actually the reason that RFK and Trump are friends. I mean, initially they were not, it wasn't going to happen. And our Callie Means brokered the deal. He got them together, and he's the reason that Maha exists. And so I would say that his big thing that he's fighting for is to realign incentives correctly. So right now, we have billions of dollars going to subsidize sugar and corn, right? So we can switch that, and instead of subsidizing those industries, we subsidize avocados and sweet potatoes and things that are good for us. And so now steak and avocados are cheap, and Skittles and Coca-Cola are expensive. Just like that, bada bing, bada boom. You shrunk the waistline by the average American by 90% just with those small incentive changes.
Well, and Jacob Peters talked about that when he came on too on our show about how, the food companies are basically incentivizing the medical companies and vice versa because they all win more to have all this comedy of incentives essentially, to where they're basically just they make you sick so they can send you to the hospital to keep you in the hospital so that you never get better, and then they give you a pharmaceutical solution that's not a treatment. It's a prolonging your suffering so that you have to keep coming back for more of it. And in many cases, it's like, if I could just eat regular food, a lot of my metabolic dysfunction would disappear. So, the incentives is a big piece for sure.
And long term, that's how you defeat the pharmaceutical companies. Because, like a good example, high fructose corn syrup literally is in so much of kids' diets that kids are having fatty liver disease at young ages, and it's absurd that should ever be even happening. And so, if you really want to attack the pharmaceutical companies, eliminate the long-term health issues that people are having by giving them the right kinds of foods.
Brandon, it's in infant formula. I went to go buy formula for my infant daughter, and it's full of high fructose corn syrup.
It's absurd.
I was like, what are we doing? This is crazy. So I went and bought there's plenty of brands that don't have it, so it's clearly not like a necessary ingredient. That one's hard to justify. I don't get that one. We need some changes in formula too. Yeah, for sure.
It's the people at the very top of these companies know exactly what they're doing, and it's evil. They're literally doing it for the almighty dollar to just keep, I'm not like anti-corporation or whatever, but there's a select few who know what they're doing and they continue to do it anyway. And this is why you need oversight. This is why you need accountability. And so I'm not like on a witch hunt or anything, but people who are CEOs of mega corporations or elected officials, they're not us. They're not the little people, right? They're not your average neighbor who are like, they chose to be in these positions. So they have to be held to a much higher standard, and the punishments should be more severe. Because until there's actual consequences for these people, they have no incentive to stop. So, like, people are complaining about all the stuff that, Elon and all these people are exposing. Good. Gut the cancer out as fast as possible. And it's not because I want to see people lose their jobs. It's because these are corrupt, evil people extorting the average person. And none of us should stand for that. We should all be, outraged by that. So, I'm going to defend the common folk and say, we shouldn't be being extorted en masse with our food and our medicine by this broken system. So I hope he goes for it all, bro. I hope they expose everything. I hope there's like tribunals for the people who are responsible for this kind of stuff. Because again, you set an example one time, it's probably not going to happen again. You have death penalties for people who have made millions and millions of people suffer. The next guy's going to think twice before he tries to do that for a buck. It's just how human nature works. So, and
because of blockchain, because of crowdsourced
AI
resources, you can't just publish a 2,000-page bill in Congress anymore and expect no one to read it. Literally, some internet sleuth is going to throw it into ChatGPT, read it, hit the main points, and
there's
go.
Already AIs for like law offices that it can do the work of like multiple legal attorneys or legal aides going through like a contract. It can do it in like 5 minutes. And it red marks everything, like red lines all the stuff that is out of tolerance or whatever. So imagine what you can do to big bills, right? Like, good. Like, oversight is great. Like just watch for whatever side of the aisle you're on, right? Whoever is upset right now about things being exposed for just transparency, those are the people who have been taking advantage of you, regardless of left or right. Like, if there's a Republican acting that way, like I'm right. It's no secret. But if they're acting that way, sketch. That guy's a problem. I want him gone. Like, anyone behaving that way for the truth coming out is telling you very clearly that they have a negative reason to not want the truth out there. They're doing something nefarious that's going to negatively impact them, and they don't want you to know about it. So that's really telling. The last couple of weeks here in America, all these people getting really up in arms about just data being presented to the American public. Really telling, kind of a mask-off moment for these people. So I hope RFK is able to just go to town on them.
It's exciting. There's a lot of potential there. Obviously, it's still our job to eat healthy and, do the right things, but it's going to be a little bit easier.
It'd be great if I didn't have to read 7 labels and it was just like bread was bread and it didn't have 7 ingredients in it that are like essentially cake, I think actually like Subway bread in America, if you tried to sell that in Europe, it would be classified as cake. And if you look at like bread's ingredients in Europe, there's like 3. It's like water, flour, and like yeast, right? Salt, maybe. There's like 4 things. Go to the store right now and look at like a loaf of bread. There's at least 20 ingredients. That's nuts.
And a lot of food dyes in there. Why do we have blue dyes in our bread? It's bizarre. Yeah. So, anyway, we make fun of Europe a lot, but they've got some things right, and one of those is their food is a lot better.
Correct.
So
yep.
that's we can't have it all as Americans.
No,
but maybe we can with RFK.
No, see, that's actually we absolutely can. That's the sad thing. We absolutely can solve this problem. I mean, let's be real. So,
yeah,
don't settle for less, America. Stand up. Don't give up on this kind of stuff. Like, this literally is for our kids. They should be able to have healthy food.
Yeah. Full stop. Not political. That's something we all deserve. I agreed. Okay, so some intense predictions, some great conversation points here. Let's move on to our best worst categories. All right, so 2024, there was a lot of interesting stuff happening. Let's start with the best book of 2024. And Brandon, you're a big reader. What was the best book that you read last year? And it doesn't have to be written this year, just like a book that you read last year.
You read it last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
So I would say The Alter Ego Effect was a huge impact for me. I put it on the level with Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits was kind of my 2023 book of that year, and I would say The Alter Ego Effect was this one.
Nice. I like it, Brandon.
I'll say Outwitting the Devil. That one was, wow. If you haven't read that book, you need to. Actually, don't read it. Get the audiobook. They had voice actors do the differing voices, and it's good. It's extremely good. If you read that book and you don't like kind of go like, I should take some things more seriously. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. You are absolutely asleep then. That one will kind of terrify you in a good way.
Very nice. Okay. I like it. Mine, the couple good ones that I read, I really enjoyed Elon Musk's biography. It was absolutely incredible, really enlightening, kind of gives me an idea of where he was coming from, what challenges he had, why he's so intense and crazy and weird. I mean, they sent him into battle school when he was like 6 years old, right? Veld school. He goes into South Africa and literally they encouraged bullies to beat up young, small kids. And so he learned to like survive. Kids routinely died there. Like, it was a crazy way to grow up. And so, that's informed his entire life. And it's a super interesting read. So that was a lot of fun, was the Musk biography. Okay, let's go to examples of dads. Who was the absolute best dad? Ideally someone famous, but it can be, just someone of 2024. And then who was the worst dad of 2024? George, hit us with it. What do you got?
Put me on the spot. Best dad. Me. No, I'm kidding. Boy, I guess someone like dad I really look up to would probably be a good one to put, right? I don't know if best is kind of hard to define.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, use a podcast guest. That's always a good option.
Yeah. I'll give a shout out to Harrison Shank, I guess. Save Your Sons. He and I we got a lot of really similar things we're trying to do and love and all that kind of stuff. And, he's given me a lot of really solid advice about how to kind of keep all the social media stuff as just part of your business and it's not permeating your whole life. And, I know he's highly intentional about carving out time for family. And I've had another mentor to suggest like, hey, Sundays is just, you don't answer the phone, period. And you tell your clients like, I'm not traveling on Sundays. So that he definitely comes to mind. And I guess the other one would be David Waldy. Sorry, I copped out and gave 2 there because it was kind of those 2 guys both. That was something I needed really this last year was, as I've really grown, my business relies so much on being social media driven, reining that in a way that it doesn't compromise your role as a dad. So those are 2 guys I look up to pretty big. And then you said the worst one, right?
Yeah, worst dad.
Does Andrew Tate have children?
He does actually.
The worst dad
yeah, no, he has some kids for sure. Yeah. Good one, Andrew Tate. He's terrible. Absolutely. Yeah. Boo, Andrew Tate. All right, Brandon, what do you like?
I'd say my two best dads would be Jordan Peterson, just because of how much he's been through the past few years, and he still makes such a great impact. He still has time for his children, and does such a wonderful thing. Like I saw him on the road, and his son was with him touring for his tour, and yeah, he's just a fantastic guy. And then the other one would be Nick Freitas. The man he's a representative for our country. He's fought for our country, and the man loves his family fiercely.
He even shaved his beard for his daughter's wedding.
Yeah, man, he shaved his beard and he cried for his daughter. So, like I mean, he's a big soft teddy bear, but he's a fierce one, right? And he's such a good role model. Like I can't tell you how many people come up to me like you interviewed Nick Freitas. That guy's amazing. We look up to him, and so it's like those two would be the ones that stand out for sure. I think the worst one would be Justin Trudeau. So either way, that's
well,
just
his
me.
dad was Fidel Castro, so
For sure. Justin, welcome back, my friend.
we're doing best dads and worst
Nice.
dads.
Yep, predictions are all done. We are moving on to best and worst. Best dad, Ty Tote, man. Ty is a legend. Unbelievable. He makes me want to adopt kids. Like he's the reason that I want to go and find underprivileged kids and go adopt them. He is an absolute legend. So Ty is just awesome. So best dad, Ty. Shout out to Ty Tote. That's right. And we're seeing him in a few months. That'll be cool
see
at the
him in
conference. So
August.
looking forward to that. Yeah, exactly. Excited. Worst dad, man, Joe Biden. Don't have a crack dad.
Oh yeah. Wait, does Hunter have a kid too, like an illegitimate kid or something?
I don't know.
Hunter's
Worst
definitely
dad, for
worse.
sure.
Like
By
Biden's
far.
bad, and then Hunter's somehow
Well,
worse.
he had to be a pretty good dad to pardon his son and his entire family. So
After he said repeatedly, "I would never do that." That's a good one. Joe Biden's definitely.
Dude,
bad.
I'll tell you what though. No, okay. I would have a tough time with that. If I was I'm not going to pardon my kid, and then he did something, I'd probably pardon my kids. I don't know if it was as bad as Hunter,
If
maybe
he did
not. But
something, just embezzled and fraudulently
I know
money
if
laundered
it was that
across
bad, I
Ukraine.
might not. But it's your son. I don't know. That's an interesting conversation.
He pardoned his whole family.
Yeah,
No, he pardoned everyone
Well,
that's
that's
going to
good
be
power,
involved
bro.
with all the stuff they're about to uncover. That's what they did.
dude, it's wild. Okay,
Again,
so Justin, are you
He
ready
volunteered
for?
to be again?
Yeah.
no,
So,
he
is this
volunteered to be
fathers
president.
in general or fathers that have been on the podcast?
You definitely use a pod dad, but if you just think of one in general, like Henry Cavill, cough cough, definitely go that route. But yeah,
Yeah.
best dad of 2024 and worst dad of 2024.
I feel like actually Henry Cavill is a great choice. But
He's
I'm
not
probably
dead,
gonna.
is he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he had
I didn't know
he
that.
just did.
Yeah, he had a little one. I would definitely say probably Adam Allred. He and I have gotten pretty close, and yeah, I have a lot of respect for him. Let's see, worst dad. Ooh, I don't know, man. That's a hard one because Brandon took what I would have said. Shoot. I don't know, man. I can't answer that one. I don't really know any bad
all the
dads.
dads who took their children to pride parades. They're all collectively the worst dads.
There's a good one.
How about that?
That's a lot. Yeah. I mean, if they're 16, maybe, but yeah, it's, if you're
Okay,
taking your young
sorry.
kids, it's,
young
Listen,
children.
I went to a pride
I've
parade
seen a
when I
lot
was
of photos.
I don't know, when I was pretty young. I was around that a lot when I was a kid, and it was not terrible. I was kind of in the outskirts. There was nothing bad that happened. It can be okay, but yeah, it's if you're routinely, and they've gotten more extreme too. 20 years ago when I went to a pride parade, they were pretty tame, so I don't know what it's like now. I haven't
Hold
been
on.
in a while,
I got
so.
the answer. Tim Walls.
Boo, Tim Waltz.
Well, he's a mother.
Tampa on
so,
Tim. Yeah.
Is he really a dad?
Aren't all liberal men? Women wear
Oh
the pants.
no, liberals!
Oh, boy.
None of that. No, we're not cutting off our
Tim
liberal
Walls
friends.
is an extra special type of emasculated. So
Oh, they're all. That's so. I think we do need to clarify something. When I say liberal, I'm talking about the crazies and the people who are being so corrupt and have
like
been.
Tim Walls.
Yeah, like Tim and some of these other people. Obviously, Dustin. Most of the time I've known you, you were at some point a liberal. Now.
Oh
you're
yeah,
more
Trump was the
independent.
first Republican
So,
I've ever voted for. I voted
yeah,
for Hillary,
yeah, so
Obama, all those.
we
guys.
just need to
It's
make
been a
that
big change.
extremely
You're
clear
literally
for people
Hitler.
to-
How could you do such a thing?
Oh yeah,
You're so evil.
yeah.
Oh my bad. Yeah.
It's like,
so yeah,
come on.
progressive and liberal are not the same thing. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think the extreme progressive wing it's tough to be a good father and hold.
I mean,
those
Tulsi
ideas.
Gabbard used to be a Democrat,
Dude, she's
House
a beast,
rep,
man.
right? So
And she's hot.
And she's still
no,
very
but
liberal.
I mean, I don't
if
really
you look
think
at
her
what she
stance
thinks,
has changed.
she's super liberal.
Pretty much the same beliefs that she had, right?
She's
when she was
just
in
kind of
House.
middle of the road. She's
And the
common
left
sense.
has gone so far left, they've literally made her like basically right. You know, it's
Yep.
that's
Same thing with RFK. I mean,
yeah. I mean, he's literally a Kennedy.
that's what I was saying. I'm like, dude, he's a Kennedy.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Crazy.
Yeah, wild stuff. Okay, so podcasts are probably the reason that the election went the way it did, right? I mean, if it wasn't for podcasts, we'd probably have President Harris right now. What was the best podcast of 2024? And don't say the President Fathers podcast. And what was the worst podcast of 2024? Brandon, hit us with it. What do you got?
Oh man, Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO. He's had multiple guests on that have spoken on things like body language, charisma on command was one of them. Vanessa Vaughn something. She spoke on a lot of like social cues, warmth, competence, those kind of things, and like she and just the other ones that I've learned from, like he draws out so much good golden information, and it's like those 3 podcasts alone literally educated me more on how to speak and how to talk and present myself more than anything else in my life combined. And so it's like you get 2.5 hours of just pure knowledge from these masters in their craft, and he's masterful at drawing that information out of them in such an eloquent way. And so Stephen is my favorite for sure.
Nice. I like it. You got any worsts?
No, mostly just because I just really try to focus on the things that benefit me and help me grow as a dad and a husband. So I don't waste my energy on the bad ones. And
Keeping it positive. I like it. Okay, Justin, what do you got for us?
Worst Haktua girls, or the that other
That's
whatever
right.
that scumbag is that had Harris on talking about how women are
Call her daddy.
superior
Oh, yeah.
to men because women
took
have
mine.
a real penis. I'm like,
I was
what
going to say
are
call her
you
daddy.
talking
I think we can
about?
all say that's the
Call
worst
her
podcast.
daddy,
is
yeah.
Call Her
I,
Daddy.
Yeah,
I
for
watched
sure.
like 3 minutes and I was like, this is the most cringe
Yeah.
thing I've ever witnessed in my life.
The best is really hard for me to choose because I listen to Joe Rogan and Sean Ryan, and those 2 dudes have literally changed the landscape of our country in the last few years. Special shout out. Well, I'm going to stick with probably Joe. Joe's probably the most influential. I would say Sean is second to Joe because Joe's still the king. Let's just be real. But Sean has been doing some stuff that I'm like, holy crap! Like, there's some really, really good information. And then I was trying to think of.
Well, they both better watch out because we have 45,000 subscribers, so we're coming for them fast.
We're coming for you, Joe.
We got that 4-5 ACP,
Days are
baby.
numbered. You heard it here first.
Nah,
We
there's
just
someone
need,
else I was
like,
going to mention. I
17
couldn't think.
million more subscribers, and we'll be
Easy
close.
peasy. Let's go. Like and subscribe, everyone. Like
I
and
have no
subscribe.
idea how many subs he has.
Yeah, I don't know.
Its total downloads must be like 100 million an episode, So we got a little ways to go.
All right, George, what do you like? What's your
Well,
favorite?
clearly the best podcast is Zuby for having me on as his guest. No, I'm being, shout out Zuby, amazing podcast. Honestly, that's one of the best conversations I've ever had in my life. Amazing guy.
It was fun to watch.
If you don't follow Zuby, stop, go follow him right now. It will absolutely benefit you. Yeah, I think, man, it's hard to pick the most influential. I'm going to go with the best one that was like for me, the best one that like impacted me. I really, there were several things from some of the Sean Ryan episodes, I think, that were just like really, for me, they kind of hit on a different level, both in terms of like admiring kind of the professionalism and trying to emulate what they do, but also like some of the people he's had on and what they've been able to speak to. And yeah, I do think it's a great precedent. He had a lot of people on from the campaign trail, different people from the Senate, House of Reps, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's a really, really, really good trend that should continue because
100%.
It's one thing to have this pre-packaged interview with pre-selected questions that, all your PR team is all over the host about whether or not they can ask it. Whereas if a candidate has to sit down for, Sean Ryan episodes are like 3 hours long sometimes.
They're
and have real conversation. Like, I think the American people deserve to have whatever the candidate is to have an honest look at, well, how can they handle themselves beyond pre-planned talking points? And so, I think obviously Joe Rogan did the same thing, but for me, I just resonated with Sean Ryan a little bit better, and so I think that was probably for me just I could name some of the episodes that really kind of impacted me that I thought were really positive. So. Oh, and then the work was the Call Me Daddy. I mean, that is just like,
God.
and then they
trash.
spend the other thing too, Justin. You're the one who like crunched all the numbers. Then they spend like millions of dollars to do that episode. Like,
So it's
come
funny
on.
you mentioned that. I have to give PBD, Patrick Bet David, and Andy Friselis a shout out because those two dudes had my tweet on their show and they talked about it for about 20 minutes each. And actually, Charlie Kirk and Chris Cuomo dissected it and kind of went through it. And then Andy Friselis like got pissed off because all these people were like, "Oh, this is this is fake news, whatever." And then he's like, "No, we verified it. Like this is 100%
It's actually
real."
that was underreported. Actually,
That was underreported. Actually, yeah.
It's higher than what you put.
But special shout out. I remembered who it was. Whatever the podcast, whatever. They have all these like just terrible women who come on there, and they're the reason that society is where it's at. And like, God, the funniest one was I don't even know if I should be able to say that.
I know what you're talking about. They asked
like, you've had 50 in your mouth and you're going to sit here and lecture me on Christianity. He goes, don't ever judge me again. And I was like, oh, God. It was like the biggest mic drop moment I've ever seen. But no, that show's so great because it just calls out these women and
shows
society.
The double standard.
Yeah, dude, it's good. That's a great podcast, too. So.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. For me, there's so many good ones this year. Worst is definitely going to be Call Me Daddy. I can go with that one for sure. Best podcast, I would say the Win-Win podcast. There's a woman named Liv Boehry. She just won like $5 million from the World Series of Poker. So she's the best female poker player of all time. And so her podcast is all about not just Justin winning, but Dustin winning at the same time. So us coming together and finding solutions that work. And so in a world where AI might only help some people and hurt others, it's looking at, okay, as the world changes, how do we make sure everyone wins? So Win-Win podcast has been awesome.
So do they just give every guest a participation trophy, or?
Right, exactly, yeah. Well, and so that's the whole idea, right? Is we get in these what she calls Moloch traps, where we go, all right, we're all going to compete super heavily, and if if George makes money, that means I'm losing. And it turns out that's not how things work. George and Dustin and Brent, we can all win together exactly if we do things correctly. So there's a lot of great ways to make sure that we all win together. I've learned that from you gentlemen, right? I mean, all four of us have won together by becoming better dads. And, if George has a better week than me, you guys all had a better week than me last week recovering from my vasectomy. So that was the win-lose scenario.
Yeah, dude, that was totally nuts, man. Balls to the wall.
Dude, it was on ice all week. It was
That's not the ice you wanted Trump to bring.
One more.
That's not the,
Break.
that's
No,
not
we don't
the
have
ice
balls
you
to
wanted Trump to bring.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Get over the wall.
Oh my God, exactly. But yeah, as all you guys said, what's really exciting for me is if you want to be a serious candidate for any political office in 2026, 2028 going forward, you have to be able to handle yourself on a long form podcast. And that's much harder even than a debate. You can do debate prep and look pretty good while knowing nothing, right? But you cannot go on a podcast for 3 hours and talk if you don't really know your stuff. So we're going to have much better leadership. We're going to have better people everywhere because we're going to be able to see what they're really like. And that's been a huge game changer for podcasts. And I'm glad that we, are playing our little part in it because it's exciting going forward. So pretty awesome.
Yeah. And it goes
stuff.
for more than just like political campaigns. It goes for, for any head of anything, right? Like I think people are going to look to get more real information from independent podcast mediums because it can't be controlled like these massive, media conglomerates that, have you seen the video of where, it was during the COVID time and it's like literally they put up like 100 videos of all these different news stations and they're literally saying word for word the same thing.
The same exact thing.
And I mean, it's literally like 1984 type.
It's propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. So
Sharp as attack, sharp as attack, sharp as attack.
It's funny because they're the ones
aisle.
calling people Nazis,
only-
but they're acting like the actual Nazis.
Right,
did.
but it's only a good thing for every industry to have independent podcasts that even if they're a left or right host, it doesn't necessarily matter, but they have to either defend themselves or have a little bit of pushback and actually be able to speak at length about whatever the issue is. And so it's great. More decentralization is better because it can't be manipulated as heavily, right? If it's one if they take one little clip and it's clearly like this outlier, but then your other 10 episodes and all these other shows were like not that, then clearly, now we have more of a body of evidence to prove it, right? Whereas nowadays it's like, here's your plate of poo, eat it and be happy about it. And it's like, well, no, because we know you're lying to us. So
yeah, and it'll get chopped up by LLMs that'll analyze it, and then they'll be able to find that information quickly.
But I think political is huge, but I think you're going to see it too with other people want to see their heads of these companies and stuff having to come on podcasts and things like that. There will be a push for it, a demand for it, and so eventually, for these people to kind of like stay in more powerful positions, they're going to have to actually be able to do that and defend themselves and why they're doing certain things. And that's only a good thing for the public at large, because less things will be able to happen in the shadows, essentially. So I think it's huge.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, shine some sunlight on it, and we are shine some sunlight. That's a tough one. We all win
7
for sure.
times fast,
Yeah, exactly. Okay, next one, best meme of 2024. Now this can be a meme format, like describe what it is, or it can be the actual meme itself. We had some amazing memes of 2024.
Last, and I'll show mine at the end.
I like it. Yeah, nice. Okay, so absolute best meme. I'm gonna go first with mine. It's the mid meme where you've got the retarded dude on the bottom and the super genius on the far side, and then the angry middle guy who's trying to explain stuff. It was just the perfect format to describe so many situations where the common sense obvious answer agrees with the super genius, and the only people who don't agree are overthinking it completely. And so there's so many scenarios where the IQ 20 and the IQ 200 guy agree, but then the IQ 100 guy thinks he's the smartest, but in fact, he doesn't know what the heck he's talking about. He's just overthinking it. So that's definitely my favorite meme there. Brandon, what do you got for us? Meme Brandon.
I would say the cartoonish Trump memes were rich. They gave me a good laugh over the election holiday. Kind of gave some brevity and some lightness to it. So
nice. Oh yeah, the Trump memes were everywhere. They were hilarious, and it was great. And a lot of them were videos and GIFs too, right? Because he's such a his voice is such a unique part of his character that you saw a lot of that too. So most definitely. George, you requested to go last. Justin, what do you got for us? Best meme.
I don't know. George made a meme that had me dying with the Andrew Tate thing. The chinless. God, it's hilarious. That one had me dying. But I think
on the screen right now. I'll send
Elon.
Okay. Yeah.
Elon had a meme that I saw today that actually is one of my favorite from this last year. It said cis admin, and it shows the finger puppets from The Godfather, and it's him, and it's over you said, and I'm like, oh dude, this is amazing. And it says the cis admin, so he's like essentially hacking in and getting everything he can backed up so that they can't hide, and he like had 100 engineers come in with him, so like they're so screwed. So I love it.
So Justin, one of the engineers that he has, this 22-year-old kid who won an award because nobody
saw that.
Yeah,
he's
nobody had been able,
everything. Yeah,
it was
wild.
like some crazy 3,000-year-old scroll that like nobody knew what it. And he was the one who figured out like what it said. He basically like figured out the Rosetta Stone. That's the guy auditing the books right now. We are going to see some wild stuff. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, definitely. George, you got that meme up for us yet?
So yeah, my X won't load. Clearly because I've been revealing too much truth here, I'm being censored and shadow banned. So I'll send it to Jackson. So now on the screen, what you're seeing is Donald Trump and his hair and the line from the 2020 election, and the caption says "Too big to rig." That was my tweet. That one did very well. And then the second one that I also posted that did extremely well was it's MLRS rocket launchers, but instead of the missiles, it's actually liberal women screaming, and so I posted both of those on election night, as it was very clear that Trump was going to win, and so the too big to rig one with the hair roll was.
There's so many good ones, man.
Jeff's kiss. So
yeah,
we'll have those up right now for you to see them. Those were, I was pretty proud of those ones for sure.
Nice.
But yeah, I think the election ones were just out of this world. So
a good year for memes. Yeah, because I mean, it's just if you want information to spread quickly and you have an idea, put it in a meme, and that's the best chance that 1 million people are going to see it very quickly. It's such a powerful format. So, okay. So on that note, best use of social media in 2024, and let's go away from podcasts because we talked about that before. So who used social media the best last year? Who was able to really harness it to get their message out there and have a really impactful idea that got to you because they used Brandon? I see you nodding. You want to go first?
1000% Elon. I mean, the man literally saved free speech, and he has slowly degraded censorship of humans on social media platforms. Period. Like, he's literally the turning point that could have gone way worse had he not stopped it. But the fact that he bought Twitter, turned it into his own thing, and then completely opened the censorship stuff and unbanned a lot of people. That's one of the biggest moves in the history of social media. That was a net positive, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was a sentinel event in history. Like, if that hadn't happened, we'd be on a totally different timeline.
That's not a social media thing. That might go down as the most important thing that happened in like the first half of this century we're in. I mean, we're like they talked about this. Joe and Kurt Metzger talked about this. Like, we're in the alternate timeline. This wasn't the timeline we were supposed to have because Trump was supposed to get shot and Twitter was supposed to still be Twitter. You know, like, if those things didn't happen, just imagine how different the world would be right now for the worse. Like,
and if the Babylon Bee hadn't been banned from Twitter,
exactly,
Elon wouldn't have cared.
Meme. Okay, so back to memes. Meme got them banned. Elon was pissed about it. Buys X. And Joel Berry talked about it. Well, like, that was episode, 50 or something? 54?
Gotta clip that,
somewhere around there.
Yeah.
It was his joke. It was a meme. So, like, memes are actually impactful. You know, if you do them right, humor is important for a healthy society. Yeah. Sarcasm is important. So, you know, I don't really know if that's using social media, but the fact that he bought it, and I disagree with Elon on a lot. Like the transhumanist stuff really freaks me out. I think that's really scary. Like, why are we going to Mars? I don't care. That's dumb. But the fact that he was willing to pony up and buy Twitter to at least have one thing that was balanced against them, whoever they are, controlling all the crap.
The blob.
Yeah, I mean, the shadow entities, the world economic globalists, you know.
Cabal,
you can't deny that the impact that this has had. I mean, it made all of these people who had just absolute chokeholds on everything, they're panicking. Like, you're seeing it still with Doge. Like, Doge is literally just an extension of X now, essentially, in terms of that wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for him buying it. So, boy, I mean, but I think who used it best? It's the memers, man. All the memers, like, out there who are, you know, people, they look stupid, but like a good meme is actually really hard to make. You know, it looks dumb and silly, but like, I'm not a good meme maker. Not at
hours of work together.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, there's a nuance to it for sure. But so all the meme makers out there, big and small, who, you know, they're calling out the craziness in our culture and in society. That's a powerful check against power, you know. Yeah. It's an important thing that a healthy society should have. There should be, you know, naysayers, and there should be people who kind of, you know, mock the current thing, right? So,
if you really think about it, it is the digital, like, newspaper cartoons that we used to have. I mean, that's all it is. It's just a new form and a new way of doing it, right? And so,
I mean, because they represent ideas, you know, the meme is funny, but they're representing a critical idea or topic. And yeah, it's a delivery system to get it to the masses. And in a lot of ways, it makes people go, "Huh, maybe I should think about that."
For some reason, it's okay in a meme. So if I were to say something super controversial and I had like me just talking about it for a minute, or like I wrote it, it's not okay. You can't say it. But if you drop it in a meme, for some reason, it's
let's
okay.
Let's try it out. Let's see. Are we going to get there are only 2 genders. Let's see. Does this stay monetized? We'll find out. There we go. Yeah, if I put it in a meme, maybe we're okay, right?
There you go. Yeah, it's just a meme. No big deal.
Okay.
So I'm going to go Robert Kennedy. I think what he did was absolutely incredible because he was completely blacked out by all media sources, right? So most people would have just quit and gone, okay, I can't get on CNN. They just won't interview me, like, because they just,
Yeah.
it was absolute blackout. So he goes, all right, I'm going to go talk to podcasts.
Your free press really
Right.
working for you there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's crazy. He's, whatever. So we can't allow him to speak. And so he said, all right, I'm going to go to the people, go to the podcasts. And he ended up getting more press because he got shut out. It was that classic Streisand effect.
There you go. Right. So if someone's that crazy, everyone's going to see it and out themselves. Like, right. So why would the news be worried about them coming on for an interview? Because if they're really that crazy or they're really that nuts, it'd be very obvious in an interview, wouldn't it? See, like, I'm so glad people are starting to recognize this, like, en masse in America. It's like, if the idea is so good, like, why do you have to coerce people to believe it, right? Or if this guy is so crazy, well, just let him talk then, because everyone's going to be like, that guy's crazy, right? Why do you have to censor him? It will literally sort itself out. So all these people who are trying to shut that down, it's just so telling that there's ulterior motives there. Sorry, I keep interrupting, but like,
and RFK is emblematic of that. I think he's the prime example of that, of someone who I thought he was crazy because I read an article in CNN that was like, RFK's crazy. So I'm like, okay, he must be crazy. And then I heard him speak, and I was like, this is the least crazy person I've ever heard speak. What is happening right now? So it's you gotta get it from the horse's mouth.
Well, they do it to everybody though, right? Anyone who's not on their team, that's the literally they try and debase you and make you a crazy person. And we've got numerous people that have been vilified. Like you've had what's his name, Dr. Peter McCullough, right? Isn't that his name? Maybe I messed up his first name, but he was like one of the earliest people being like, hey. The standard protocol for COVID treatment is not wise. We should try this, and this instead. He was literally like banned off everything, and he's like the most published doctor on the planet.
Dr. Corey Pierre too.
Interesting. We can't just try a recommended treatment regimen from a well-respected doctor. Strange.
And guess what? He was right.
Yeah, and then he was right all along. So it's like. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, I'll get off my.
No, you're good. No,
here,
you're right, 100%. I was gonna say someone else that deserves a mention is Scott Pressler. That dude, he shifted that election. He signed up more people for that election to go and vote for Trump that were like Democrats and independents than I've ever seen in any election. That kid did some serious work, man. He deserves a round of applause for sure. And now he's getting multiple groups in different states now that are like semi-swing states that, I mean, he's going crazy. Next election cycle is not going to be easy either. Like, he's not letting off the gas. And I've been in a few of the X spaces with him. He's a smart cat, super nice, very well-rounded. So yeah, I think he deserves a shout out for sure because he changed the course of that election as well.
It's a good one.
I hate to say it, but I got to dip, guys. Kid's not doing too well.
Go take care of the little one, man.
Yeah, man. All right, peace.
Awesome.
See you, buddy.
Good luck, Justin. Yep, love you, buddy. All right, awesome. So I think we're just about close to the time. Anyway, you want to do one more? Okay, awesome. Let's do best TV show of 2024. What was your? And again, it doesn't have to be like invented this year, but like what did you watch either with your kids or for yourself that is just an awesome show for dads?
Oh man. Well, I'm an anime fan, and a lot of people don't know that about me, but it's my guilty pleasure for like the 5 minutes every week that I have available. And Solo Leveling is hands down like the most incredible anime. I absolutely love it. So that's probably going to be my pick. There's a couple real shows that are not animated based that I really love, but I just can't think of them right now off the top of my head.
Yeah, no worries. You got a worst? Anything that you think is just terrible? Keeping it positive. I like it, Brandon. Okay. George, what do you like? What was your favorite show?
Best show of 24.
The Gentleman. Okay, yeah. Nice.
Did you watch that?
No, I haven't seen it.
Bro, you need to go watch The Gentleman. It's like, it's set in the same universe as the movie titled The Gentleman, but it's like different characters. It's its own separate storyline. It's hilarious. It's like it's kind of like a crime mob movie, but like, or show, but it's like a caricature of that, right? It's just this ridiculous story. It's extremely well done. I think it's a Guy Ritchie show.
I love Guy Ritchie. Okay, yeah, nice.
It was hands down the best show in 2024. Like, not even close. Nothing came close. It was that good.
The Gentleman. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna make a note of that. That's
like,
awesome.
Whitney watched it all with me. and we normally don't agree on like what we like to watch, and she was like, "This is unbelievably good." So we both enjoyed watching that one. You know, it is. I will say this disclaimer: it is. There's cursing and violence and some stuff. You know, it's about a mob story in England, but you know, if you're willing to look through that, it's pretty well done. It's pretty unbelievable. So
Nice. All right, I like it. Any worse shows? Anything you thought was just terrible?
The Rings of Power, the abomination and insult to the wizard of literature, J.R.R. Tolkien, and they have modern day the most timeless story ever written. And, you know, just Hollywood in general and all these big, you know, media companies, they're taking timeless tales that everyone can be inspired by, and they're turning it into modern day identity politics. So you're taking beloved properties and basically just destroying them and character assassination of them. And the most egregious offense of all those was this. I don't know how much they spent on it, $1.5 billion, and it looks terrible. The acting's pathetic. The writing is even worse, and it's an insult to everything that J.R.R. Tolkien stood for, what he believed in, and what he wrote. And to be clear, there are exactly 3 Lord of the Rings movies, and there's 4 books. If you don't understand that, then I feel sorry for you, and you should definitely go educate yourself on potentially the greatest piece of fiction literature ever made.
Tell us how you really feel, though.
No, I want to apologize for being right. So, you know.
I love it. Awesome. Okay, so for me, the Foundation series was my favorite this year. It's been around a couple of years. Absolutely fantastic. Isaac Asimov wrote the iRobot series, and Foundation, it's on Apple TV. It's absolutely fantastic. It goes into psychohistory and how technology can be used to determine the course of history and what major events will happen. And the acting is incredible. The concept is brilliant. It's if you like science fiction at all, that was just absolutely fantastic. So really enjoyed that series.
Yeah. Apple TV's had some good ones this year. Like Silo was a really good one too. Like I don't know if you've seen
Silo
that one
too.
Can I give an honorable mention?
Yeah, jump in.
Yeah, Shrinking is hilarious too.
Oh, that's a funny one. Yeah.
My wife and I, well, one, we've both done a lot of therapy, so maybe that's why it's funnier to us. But it's actually a pretty funny show. There's a few things in there that I you know, there's some current day stuff that I really wish wasn't in there, but overall, pretty amazing show. Definitely not a kid show. Do not watch it with your kids.
Shrinking,
It's an
okay,
adult
nice.
only
Yeah.
show, but you know,
Yeah.
good date night kind of show to watch or snuggle up in bed type of thing. It's pretty funny.
Nice. Okay, yeah, I think I saw that advertised. Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's going to be it on the docket for predictions and
100
best and
episodes
worst.
down, baby.
Yeah, episode 100. This has been a journey, gentlemen. I have grown so much as a father, as a husband, and I, want to thank all of you guys, Justin as well, for making me better. It has been my absolute honor, and the next 100 are going to be even better. So this has been so much fun.
It's been a lot of work. My back is very tired from carrying you, Dustin, but we're so glad that you're with us. On a very serious note, yeah, love you guys. That's a joke for those who couldn't tell. But to all the viewers, those of us still with us watching this episode, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all of your support. We will continue to do the best job we can to bring forward guests and messages that are going to help you as dads and families to just be stronger, because we do believe that if families are strongest, then we will make huge impact in our society and hopefully all around the world, right? This isn't necessarily only those of us in America who can benefit from these ideas. So thank you to all of you for supporting us and watching these episodes. We can't thank you enough. We will continue to be as good as we possibly can and improve the quality of what we do to make sure that it delivers value to you. So thank you. Here's to 1,000.
That's right.
Got a long way to go.
Exactly. For sure.
Brandon, any final thoughts for our 100th episode?
I predict, for predictions, I predict that we will be at 100,000 subs by the end of this year, if not more than that. That's my prediction. And I'll bet a nice steak dinner again against all.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I'm not betting against you. You always win, Brandon.
No, but seriously, like you said, I just want to echo. Thank you so much, and we think about this all the time of how we can improve this, how we can impact more dads, and so from the bottom of our hearts, we just appreciate you taking the time and supporting us. So
perfect. So before we wrap, if you're still with us, comment your predictions and your bold claims and thoughts below. We want to hear those. We would love to see all these comments and have a pretty hilarious back and forth discussion with you all. And then we can come back at the end of the year and we'll do it again, and then we'll see if you were right too. So let's see if you can beat us in our predictions. If you got better ones, drop them in the comments. We absolutely want to see that. Again, much love to you all. Thank you for supporting us for 100 episodes, and we are on to the next very shortly here. We'll see you very next week. Dads, let's get climbing that mountain of fatherhood. We'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching this episode of the podcast. If you're on YouTube, drop a subscription to us, and if you are listening on Apple or Spotify, please leave us a review. It helps greatly. If you are also ready to level up as a man, check out Elite Sentinel Coaching, our program designed specifically for men, where we forge men into leaders. We turn cowards into kings, weaklings into warriors. Become the hero in your story. Join us today.